How's it going, everybody? This is JTech 95, and today we're going to be taking a look at the machine that I just picked up at the Southeast Michigan Vintage Computer Club get-together. I talked more about that in the last video, and this is the machine that I had mentioned I had picked up. This is a Mitac Paragon 88. It's a IBM PC clone with an 8088 processor, 640K RAM. And yeah, it's pretty freaking sweet. Needed a little bit of work and needed some software and a little bit of a cleanup. But yeah, we'll get into that in the video today. So sit back and hang tight, and we'll get digging into this Mitac personal computer this time on JTech 95. So here is the Mitac Paragon 88. Let's start out this video by talking a little bit about the background and history of this machine. I had to do a little bit of searching online to find out information about this particular unit. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot of info about it, but I was able to come across some very interesting information. So let's begin there. The Paragon 88 was first announced in 1987 by Mitac International Corporation as a competitor to the IBM PS2 line, along with its counterparts, the Paragon 286, 286S, and 386. They were sold under the title Small Footprint Computers due to their small size in comparison to many offerings by IBM and other manufacturers at the time. The Paragon 88 was an XT-compatible system that was referred to as a PS2 clone that boasted several neat features, including but not limited to switchable clock speed from 10 to 4.77 MHz, the option of a 32 MB hard drive, and the ability to swap between CGA and monochrome using a little switch on the back of the machine. It also had several other handy amenities, like a reset button and a button cell battery rather than a piece of crap Varda like other machines were using at the time. In an article from the October 1987 issue of Bits and Bytes, the Paragon 88 was referred to as a clone killer and a computer for all people. It sold for the rather attractive price of just $1,199. which, in all honesty, wasn't too bad considering many other machines from the time period were selling between $2,000 and $3,000. Now I think it's time we pop inside of this machine and take a look at the innards for ourselves, and I'll go over a little bit of what I had to do to this machine to get it working. So as we go inside of this machine here, we're greeted first on the right by the RAM chips. It is populated to 640K of RAM, which is more than enough. And over here we have a 2032 button cell CMOS battery. Granted, it's the wrong size, but it works just fine. And next to that is a set of dip switches for adjusting various things of the machine. We come back here a little bit, we can see a Western Digital MFM hard disk controller card, and down there to the left is a Siemens 8088 10 MHz CPU. Here on the top is a 360K 5¼ inch floppy drive, and underneath is a Seagate ST225 hard drive. More on that later on. Around here on the back we have a port for printer, an RS-232 serial port, the video port right here, and the switch to switch it between color and monochrome. Coming over here to the front of the machine, we see right here the reset button, PC speaker, power button, and the front of both drives. Interestingly, the keyboard connector is here on the front of the machine rather than on the back, as most machines were. As I had stated, this has a Seagate ST225 20 meg hard drive installed in it. The one that's in it right now is one that I had in storage for just such an occasion, because unfortunately the drive that was in it is dead. What do you think of my artwork there? And if we take off the cover, we can see what happened. Might be hard to see, but you see these two little lines here in the middle of the disc? Yeah, heads crashed. All too common, unfortunately, with these old drives. My guess is the machine wasn't parked, or the drive wasn't parked, or something, and the heads crashed. Because when I first booted it up to test it out, the drive spun up and I heard an awful metallic clanking and scraping noise, so I knew something had happened. But I figured I'd show you the inside of the drive anyway, just to give you an idea of what the inside of these drives look like, in case you'd never seen them. Now, I got the machine, as I stated, at the local computer show that I went to last weekend. A gentleman came up to the table where I was displaying my IBM PS2 Model 30 and my K-Pro machine, and we'll refer to him as Mr. K. He came up and he was looking at the machines that I had on display there, and he asked me, "Do you collect these old machines?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he mentioned that he had a Mitac machine that he was trying to get rid of. And my ears perked a little bit at Mitac. I'd heard the name before, but I hadn't really seen one in person. I'd just seen, a video, picture, things like that. So I was very interested to get a look at it. So he was kind enough to run back to his place, pick up the machine, which came in its original box too. He brought the machine to the show, we unpackaged it, took a look inside. It still had the foam inserts around the case. And I was looking it over and I was like, wow, this thing is really, really cool. And obviously I bought it. And promised him I would make a video about it, which I was going to do anyway. I try to do that with any new machines that I come across. So I tried hooking it up at the show, and the hard drive did not spin up that time. But once I got it home and tried again, then it did spin up. So I'm guessing that on the car ride home, maybe something popped loose or whatever that was sticking, and that's what caused the head to crash. Oh well, it happens. I installed a new hard drive in here, cleaned all the dust bunnies and little dead spiders and all the little critters out of there that had decided to claim it as their home, and I evicted them. And once I got the new hard drive in there, low-level formatted it and all that stuff, it seemed like the machine was back in business. And I loaded it up with some programs. That's why I have my Triad machine over here. I was using interserve and interlink under MS-DOS to transfer files to it using serial cable, because it just was a lot faster than doing everything using 360K floppy disks. And Mr. K, if you're watching this video, thank you so much for letting me know that this thing was for sale and for selling it to me. I really appreciate it, and I can promise you it has a good home here. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this thing. So without further ado, let's get it back together, boot it back up, and play some games. It's all set up, put together. Let's turn this thing on, monitor first. And let's boot it up and let her roll. And here we are in the DOS prompt. So, first of all, let's check out a couple things on the drive. So if we go here to the Mitac directory, there's a couple applications here that I'd like to show you. This was a utilities disk that came with this machine. I got it from the Retro Web, and it actually had some pretty interesting programs in it. What these two programs here, T5 and T10, those are the applications that are used to change the processor speed. For example, if we do T5, it changes the system clock frequency to 4.77 megahertz. And if we do T10, that changes the clock frequency to 10 megahertz. And then we have an application here called XT-Diag, which gives a couple basic diagnostic functions like system test, external devices test, multiple function test, and then 9 is exit to system diskette. Along with those basic functionality tests, we also installed Landmark 60 on here. Or I should say, I keep saying that, it's Landmark 6.0. I keep calling it Landmark 60 because it says LM60 on there. Oh well, you guys know what I'm talking about. And this will tell us exactly what kind of specs we got. Pretty basic on this machine. There we go. Comes up as a Intel 8088, even though it's a Siemens, whatever you want to call it. CPU clock is 10.007 megahertz. No floating point unit, and video is CGA. So yeah, pretty interesting. Exit out of here. And we have a couple other things we can run, like we'll run a couple games here. Well, a couple games we have on here is like Bubble Ghost. And F1 for CGA. And we'll do a one-player game. Actually, games like this don't run terribly bad, given that it's only an 8088. The fact that it's running at 10 megahertz definitely helps. And we have a couple other games on here like Dig Dug. Really fun game. Do you want full color? Yes. Do you have joysticks? No. Preset the key you want to go up, down, left, right. Key you want to pump. One player. I should have waited for Monster to go under there, but you know what? What are you gonna do? And we'll get the fat dragon. Oops! No, you're not running away from me. Boom! And besides games, we have another game, or another thing we can play. Given that this is more or less a slightly faster 5150 in my opinion. I know it's supposed to be a PS2 clone, but it reminds me more of a 5150 since it has an 8088 rather than an 8086 or higher. Let's run the cool little program called Area 5150. Came out a couple years ago by CRTC, and given that this is an 8088 with a CGA graphics display, let's run this and see what it can do. Yo, a 1987 Mitac PC again. This was just a really cool little application these guys put together. Really, really cool. I'll put a link in the description of the video so you can take a look at this and download it yourself if you like. But yeah, that's about it for a quick little overview of this machine. Really cool. I'm glad to have it in the collection. And once again, special thanks to Mr. K for selling me this machine. And yeah, this is definitely going to have a really special place in my collection. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video you saw today. And if you liked what you saw, why don't you drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, hope to see you guys in the next video, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.